Hello, everybody. My name is Kimberly Ho, Councilwoman of City of Westminster. I am here with Tim Hogan. He has agreed to come back and host the show, co-host the show. Before we begin the show, please go on YouTube and subscribe to my channel. It's Kimberly Ho Official Channel. As I promised, I'm going to be doing segments of about 15-20 minutes to bring you various topics. And if you have any interest in being on this show, please give me a ring. My number is 657-206-0626. Hi, Tim.
Hi.
How are you? How do you
Very
feel?
Good. Oh, very nice. Thank you for having me back again.
Well, thank you for coming back. I wasn't sure if you were going to come back at all after that first show, but it wasn't bad, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was fun.
So what's the topic for today? I know that we're here to bring news to our citizens, our constituents, the City of Westminster. And we know that November 8th is the time where we absolutely got to get your votes in. So our last show we talked about Measure Y. Mm-hmm. So is there anything that you want to talk about Measure Y that we didn't talk about last time?
Well, rather than Measure Y, I'd like to go into some of the more exciting things that are happening with the city.
All right.
I'd like to look at, we've now been told that the mall will be revitalized soon.
Oh, how exciting. Yes,
and
I'm excited.
Here, after the election, we're going to have a new leadership in the council, and looking to see what your thoughts are for how you'll bring us into the 21st century here.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm running for mayor, right?
Yes.
And you know that I will not sit if I don't win mayor. It's just because I do have a vision for our city. Mm-hmm. For so many years, I believe that I'd say about 40 years, we haven't had a mayor with a business background. Mm-hmm. Okay, when I talk about business background, I'm talking about experience, I'm talking about education, and the ability to actually bring our city, new revenue. And because we're talking about money, we're talking about Measure Y because we are in need of money mm-hmm. for our city to keep the lights on and to keep the services, keep up with those services that our citizens have raised their voices and said, hey, we want to continue with these services. And as our last YouTube show, we talked about how we're going to be still short of $3 million. Mm-hmm. Now, so today I guess we're going to touch on what kind of revenue, and everybody wants to know what's going in that mall, mm-hmm. Westminster Mall that we talked about so much in the last, 7 years?
Yes.
So maybe it's finally going to come to fruition. Mm-hmm. So I do believe that the mall is really long overdue that we repurpose the mall. The purpose of the mall back then, and I don't know if you remember when it was built.
Mm-hmm.
When was it built?
It was in the early 70s was when it
early
was first.
70s. Yeah. Okay. Structurally it's still new, considered still new mall, but purpose-wise, people, when we say repurpose, it's like today, in this day and age, what do people want to see in mm-hmm. terms of the mall? What do you think? Something new, something exciting, something like Bellaterra? What do you think?
Well, Bellaterra was built on the remains of the Huntington Center, which was very much like the Westminster Mall, a little smaller, but still an enclosed indoor mall. When they decided to change that, they went to the outdoor format that they now have with Bellaterra, where it's more of a congregation, more of a meeting place for people.
So, well, I kind of like that. So,
mm-hmm.
If we can go travel to different malls, we would know what people want, and mm-hmm. then we can take a look at some of the newer malls and with, that draws a big crowd, what sort of things do they have? So we don't have to reinvent.
No.
Because we're not like the first to repurpose the malls,
no.
their malls, our malls. So, many cities are doing this, and so I think we can really copy some of the ideas. But what about high-density housing is what we see is going on at Bellaterra. Is that something we want to copy? What do you think? What do you
I'm
think
of
about
two
that?
minds on that. One says that the tax base for it would be very nice to have. The other one says that the impact of that many people in the community without well thought out plans for traffic and the rest will have a negative impact.
Okay,
So,
let's shed light on those two topics.
Okay.
Okay, so those are like when you mention the tax. What kind of tax do you think comes out of building high density housing?
well, you're going to have the property taxes from
Well,
the owners of the.
Yeah, but between property tax and sales tax, which one do you think weighs a lot more, or shall I just say, simply put, which one do you think will make more money from?
I'm going to guess that sales tax would be the
Yes.
answer there.
Well, if we turn this whole place into, I agree with you on number two reason, is traffic, why we shouldn't have high density. You know, I think we are going to see some housing projects, but I do not believe in having a highly dense Westminster Mall area
No,
being built with housing. So number two is traffic, and I totally agree with you on that. But number one is if we build out this whole place and full of, houses, then you know that our real estate tax, or shall I say property tax, do you know that it's only 0.7% of 1%, 0.7 of 1%, whereas our sales tax is 8.75%.
Yes.
So I don't know if you know how many or what's the square footage dedicated to retail in the Westminster Mall area right now.
I don't know that.
currently. Okay, so it is 1.2 million square feet in retail space, square footage right now. And if we were to turn all that into housing, oh my gosh, we're going to lose a lot of sales tax.
Yeah. I don't think anyone wants to see
Right,
that.
right. Yeah, I mean, knowing that, number one, I totally agree, so we don't need to discuss, or we're not in disagreement with the second reason why we shouldn't have high-density housing is the traffic, right? And it's really going to change the way we live, it's going to make us more frustrated, and we just don't, they have the infrastructure to accommodate that much traffic.
Yeah.
Right? And so maybe we'd have to do something about that. But I do believe in some housing, but not, I know that if developers have their ruther, they would totally build out all housing. Then we're going to lose that 1.2 square feet of retail space. So I would not have that. I would totally protect our retail spaces. So I know repurposing these days, I know people are saying people buy online a lot. Do you buy online?
A little bit, not as much as others, but yeah,
Really?
just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I see Amazon trucks up and down my own streets and other people's street when I walk, when I go canvassing or door to door for Measure Y. So you know that when I see Amazon's, trucks, and it's really inevitable in this day and age, people are going to do more on the internet. Okay, so I want to touch on that a little bit. Did you know that if we still have Measure Y, or shall we say if we still have that 1 cent tax, and if we're able to capture that 1 cent tax and if that gets extended, do you know that we're able to capture that internet sales? Did you know that?
No, I was unaware of that.
Right. So that's going to be a real benefit that we're able to capture that internet sales.
Yes.
Now, going back to what I was saying about retail spaces, so I'm going to really fight to keep, I think we need to at least have 800 square feet to 1 million square feet, but I'd be really totally okay with about 800 square feet, 800,000, 800,000 square feet. Because, we understand that, the internet is taking a lot of sales away from the brick and mortar stores. But we need to have the brick and mortar stores. I love walking into a mall. I love touching and feeling what I'm buying.
That's why I think we're going to see a swing back towards more brick and mortar.
You think so?
People,
I'd be so happy.
I hear so much from people that they're disappointed in the way the clothing comes to them. Various things that if I'd been able to touch it, I would have known that it was not what I wanted. So
yeah, I do think if there are things that we normally we buy every day, basic needs, basic stuff that we don't need to touch and feel because we already know how those things feel. Like for instance, our coffee pods or our creamers or something like that. I normally buy on Amazon, yes. And I'm not here to advertise Amazon, by the way, but I can tell you that there are things that we need to support our brick and mortar stores because without them, what are we going to be? We're just going to stay home and be on our computer. We probably don't even get out there to socialize or, breathe the clean air and et cetera. So what do you think?
Well,
Is that a good thing for you? To bring back brick and mortar?
I think so, both for the ability to have that tactile feel of the items that you're buying, as well as being able to see things that you might not see when you're looking on the mall. If you're looking on the web, you look for a specific item, and that's the one you look at.
Yes.
You don't see the items that are next to it on a shelf.
So I sure hope you guys support our Westminster retail community, and really, you do everything you can to buy locally. And on the internet, like I would just keep it to just things that you get all the time. And I actually even have it on, what is that called? Like on a schedule basis where
you can schedule. I
like
do that
I know how
myself
much creamer I'm going to use over a certain time. So I'll put those things on schedule, and I wouldn't mind buying on the internet.
Yes.
But other than that, we need our retail spaces. So I'm going to give a little bit. I will give up a little bit of the retail. So 1.2 million square feet. I will go down to like 800,000 square feet. But of course, it's not all up to me. That's just that's my input. And I'm going to really fight, I fight. I can fight, right?
Oh, yes. I've seen that.
Yeah?
Oh, yes.
Really? Oh, okay. Well, Tim, I know I've seen you coming around, especially like in the last, did I say year, would you say? Coming to our city council. Half a year?
Yeah.
No, probably more than that.
No, possibly more, but
Yeah?
the last half year I've been really active trying to get Measure Y on the ballot.
Well, I thank you. I thank you for all the speeches that you make at the, podium. It takes a lot of guts, and also it takes, I know that you're really a strong believer, and you're really a strong supporter of our community, and to make sure that we thrive in the next phase. I think of it like, before we can talk about thriving, we're going to talk about somehow we got to save this ship. Like I think of it like a Titanic, it's not like it's coasting like we, when we think of a ship, we're thinking like, oh yeah, it's on the surface. It's like we go on our, what is that called? On our
cruising into the
cruise,
Caribbean.
And it's not cruising altitude or whatever. We're not. It is a sinking ship. It is a Titanic situation. So I think when you think of the Titanic, we think like, hey, you know what? It's kind of like halfway, right? You see like half the ship is in the water and the other half is up in the air. Well, I think of our ship. Our Westminster ship is more than that. It's like actually, I think it's, if without Measure Y, I think we'll be going all the way to the bottom. Yeah. What do you think?
It seems that way, yes.
Yeah.
It's
So we did talk about how Measure Y is going to help us bring in $17 million. But then we're talking about, I think we got to put something at the helm, somebody at the helm. And hopefully that person would be me in terms of, I know we've got Christine Corden as and Adolfo. I love those two. They really work great as a team. Well, but, they're staff, and I believe that the mayor needs to have a vision. For years and years, we just haven't had a visioneer at the helm, and that's the reason why we're kind of like bobbling and we're just kind of like coasting. But then now we're like, we cannot be coasting because we're in a Titanic situation.
Yes. We need to right the ship and
we
start
got to fix
going
this.
forward.
Make sure, and then we can like talk about what are we going to do to what course is this, what direction, and all that once we get it out of the water. So I want to say the revenue, $3 million right away. We're going to be short $3 million. Well, that can't be a good feeling, because once the Measure Y passes, if it passes, we still have to work really hard, bring in new revenue. So please help me fight for that retail space, okay? And that's why I'm asking everybody to please shop locally. I know if the mall doesn't have everything you want, then you can still like shop at other places outside of Westminster Mall, awaiting for the time when that mall is repurposed. And please do come out, because I know we had our staff has put on a, what is it, the meet and greet or the public hearing.
Public commentary,
a commentary
for
thing
the mall, yes.
at the mall, September 22nd. And, you know, so if they have another one, please come out, or even don't have to wait until then to come. You can always, you know, go to City Hall and give us your input and let us know what you want to have there.
Yes.
But we cannot take away that retail space that we need, because it used to be a cash cow.
Yes.
But, you know, we're going to get it back to being a cash cow. Why? Because when we repurpose it, it's going to have a different purpose than it did when we built it in the 70s.
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
So we're going to build it the way people want it built, what they want to see there. But I'm going to really fight for a retail space. It's going to be 800,000 retail spaces, 800,000 square feet, but I would not suggest having any less than that.
Okay.
So I'm going to fight for that.
That's good to hear.
So, do you have any more questions? Anything you want to talk about?
We could switch over to a different topic.
Okay.
The city has recently approved money for the Navigation Center to address the homeless issue that we have here.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on what how this might impact our city? I know it sounds great for the homeless.
In a positive way, yes. So I'm really excited. You know, I believe our share. Well, you know, we contributed $4 million, and using the ARPA funds, and that's the American Rescue Plan Act funds that we're getting from the feds, and so we're so lucky that it's just exactly what we need. We were going to build it anyway, and then all of a sudden this ARPA fund is you know, being given to every city. So this is really great that staff has recommended that we put it towards the Navigation Center. You know that the Navigation Center, everybody wants to know where it is. Do you know?
It's over in it's in Garden Grove, close to Harbor and Westminster Boulevard, off
on
the West Street.
Right.
On
I
West
just don't know
Street,
the exact address, but even if you go there today, it will be, you're probably going to be looking at some industrial building, because it is an industrial building currently.
They're repurposing an industrial building.
Yeah, and I believe the team, when I say the team, we're talking about Garden Grove, our city, and Fountain Valley, going to put in, you know, something in the tune of what, $17 million,
Somewhere
I believe.
in that, yeah.
No, $21 million,
okay.
I believe. And then that is to renovate. And so I'm really excited. The reason is so many people are already so fed up with the homelessness situation that we have in our city, and as it affects every city, and not just you know, Southern California, or our city alone, but the entire state. And do you think it affects other states as well? I'm sure.
Oh,
right?
yeah, it definitely affects other states. We seem to get affected perhaps more because we have this great weather here. But you know, if you're homeless and you got to live somewhere, living in California is an advantage.
Great, yes, and everybody wants to live here in the city of Westminster. Plus, you remember that the homelessness that we have here, the reason that those numbers are growing is because here, you know, we have such a generous population of people. So, you know, rather than giving money, let's give food. And if they don't need food, what do you think they want the money for?
Yeah.
So let's not contribute to the problem, right? So the Navigation Center, back to that. I'm excited because once we have that Navigation Center, what does it mean? We are able to, it means our police force are going to be able to exercise the anti-encampment law. To be able to ask the people who don't want to go to our Navigation Center, they like that way of life, which is about a third of the homeless population. They just love that way of life because they don't. What do you think they love that way of life?
Oh, they don't have any restrictions on themselves. They're able to live pretty much the way they want to live. It may seem, you know, austere for those of us who have homes, but for them, it gives them a free. I'm sure it's a sense of freedom for it. But
Well, yeah, so our police force is going to be able to exercise that anti-encampment law and remove them.
yeah,
So then, well, for the 2/3 that we can do something about. So I'll talk about the first third, that would be, the mentally ill. So, we have a team, or we will have a team in the navigation center. We'll have the management team that's going
Yes.
to cost all three of our cities in the tune of about $625,000 a year. And of course, we'll be splitting it in, 3 ways. And so, but it's worth it because we're able to help 2/3 of the population, homeless population. So, like we've got Be Well, where, those people, the people with mental illness, they could go there. And the other third, which I really think we got to help, are the people who are down on their luck and they're just, maybe they can't make the increase in rent or whatever it is, or they lost their job because their position's obsolete, or layoffs, whatever. So those people we can definitely help.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Many
Are you
of them
excited?
just need an opportunity to get on their feet, to find something new.
Yeah.
And that's what the Navigation Center will provide.
Yeah.
It provides both a place for them to stay, but also a place for them to leave their belongings for a period while they're out looking for work. There's also accommodations for their animals. So those with dogs and such will not have to give them up. They can keep them, and there will be runs for the animals so that they can go off and look for work during the day and know that their animals and their belongings are safe.
Yeah, and I think, for the homeless, they tend to have animals because it provides some kind of support for them.
Yeah.
It's, mental support. And I think I'm really excited. I'm very excited. And I know last week when our council deliberated, 5 out of 5 supported, $4 million, putting $4 million of our ARPA fund towards that.
Yes.
So I don't know what to say. I don't know when this thing is coming, but I can't wait.
No.
I
Yeah.
think in about 8 months, I believe.
I was told 8 months to a year, and they'll have
Yeah.
the building ready, and at that point they'll begin to be able to actually help the homeless and help us as well. So since
Yeah, and definitely so. And I know that our citizens, our people of Westminster, citizens of Westminster, can't wait. Why? Because they'll get their Westminster back. It's like I get a lot of complaints about when they take a walk, like when they walk in the park and they stumble across the homeless, or they're being followed or pestered or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I know people and their various complaints about the homelessness, but homeless people have rights too, and so we need to, as a city, we need to make sure we do the right thing, and so this is the right path that we got to go down.
Yes, that's why I see this Navigation Center as being a boon for us all, and that it does give them their respect and self-worth, and it helps us to get a resolution to the issues that have been affecting us for so long.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing this hour with us, and I hope Tim will come back for part 3, and I think we're going to be doing this more regularly. And if you have any comments or any constructive comments, please. And also, if you would like to come and share your stories, I'd love to have you on my YouTube channel. Again, please subscribe to Kimberly Ho official channel. I've had this channel for a long time now, and I hope to have many more YouTube videos for you to watch. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you at the next video. Bye-bye.